All right, it's 4 o'clock, so confirmation that the Kansas Open Meeting Acts.
Yes.
Okay. Roll call.
Actually, it's just acknowledging the
So we do
people
have-
who are here.
yeah.
We don't have to say here or do any
Okay.
action on that.
We
It's
have
just,
quorum.
have quorum.
we have a quorum, yeah.
All right.
And before we move into action, I'd like to welcome or introduce our City Commission liaison, Greg Linkowitz, former, just stepped down as mayor after a year of easy service, no problems, right? Just a smooth
sailing,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, well, it's good to have you here, Greg, and
Thanks for having me.
welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, and we'll have the approval of January minutes that are enclosed in the packet.
Make a motion to approve the January minutes.
Okay, have a second? Do we have a second?
Yeah, Pat.
Okay, Pat, sorry. All right, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that passes.
Opposed?
Oh, opposed? That passes. Okay, we'll move into new business and staff reports.
At your pleasure, if it's okay, we'll, before staff adds anything else besides what's already on the agenda, do the commissioners have any questions for our staff based on items that are in the report? Then there's nothing that's come up since the report was submitted to you that warrants, new news or discussion. With maybe, hang on a second. Yeah, one, Susan, do you want to talk about the new date for the study session?
Yes, the museum was going to do a study session this coming Monday, on the 23rd, here at the museum, but that has been postponed now until March 9th to make sure all city commissioners are available, as someone's not going to be available this coming Monday, and it'll just be easier to have them all here as opposed to try to catch someone up. And I believe that's at 2 o'clock on the 9th. Anyone who you're all welcome to come and attend. It's going to include a tour of the building, including our collections area. If you do want to go on that tour, please bring a city or a government-issued ID per commission policy for our collection area. Other than that, we welcome you all to be available for that presentation. You will learn a little bit more about the project.
Yeah, for those of you that aren't aware, this involves a fairly significant proposal for a capital expansion, or a capital project expanding the museum out to the south, utilizing the parking lot that's behind the facility. And so Susan and her staff have prepared with architects' drawings and estimated budget and timelines, and for you all as advocates, you don't have to come to a tour if it's a conflict with your schedule. However, if you do, it can certainly better equip you to have a full understanding of the significant need that exists and will only grow higher as time goes on for an accredited museum to have a quality collection and to be able to protect and preserve it properly. So we'll certainly be providing you all with updates, and if you can't make it, the meeting portion of that study session will not be live, but it will be recorded for a later broadcast. So Cash's team, or Dave Hawksworth, and I visited this morning about having this room set up with the recording equipment to be able to have that out and shared with the public so that everyone's better informed. Okay. Last thing that's not on, we got new hats for our 50th anniversary. We will be providing those, actually, they may just, if you would like to check in with me on your way out as commissioners and ambassadors of the festival, I'm okay for you to have one of those to do some marketing for us. So if you promise to mark it often, mark it well, and wear it proudly, we'll outfit you before you leave today. So, okay. The rest are for sale.
Those are pretty sharp looking too.
Nice.
These were locally produced with about, I think, 6 iterations to trying to get an embroidery to look like a gradient. Took a lot of extra work and threads, but from a distance it reads really well, and it's a nice interpretation of the logo, and they were the order was done locally here, so we're excited about that.
Good. Move on to introduction of new staff.
The museum has 2 new staff members. John Clintworth is our new curator of education. He got baptized with Kansas Days at the end of January. And he made it through, and he's still here. That's always a good sign.
Yeah.
And then Simeon Rawls is a new museum assistant. He also got baptized at Kansas Days. He did some of the preparations for our groups. So we're happy to have both of them on board.
Can you share a little bit for the newer folks of what a curator of education does?
The curator of education is in charge of all public programming at the museum. So the first Thursday programming that happens, school groups, tours. He's not in charge of street fair. I wish he was. I wouldn't put that
There's
on.
still time.
There's still time.
Other duties as assigned.
Yeah, but he'll have a strong part of street fair as well. But yeah, he does education development and programming for us, as well as the interactives for exhibits.
Welcome, both of you. Move on to fire station number 4, art integration recommendation. Crystal?
Thank you. It's over a little bit. Okay, so I want to do a little refresher for everybody. We may have some new commissioners who we've been working on this project for quite some time, and the art integration for station number 4 has been on pause for some forward action. So the image that you guys are seeing up on the screen right now, this was the original, like what we put out for the artist call. There were 3 original locations. The farthest to your left over here, that screening wall, we ended up not designing to that. It was not a publicly accessible spot. It's just a screen wall. Currently, if any of you have driven past, the fire station is really coming close to completion. We got commissioners, and I got to do a walkthrough about a week ago for a study session. So interior is a lot of gray and white, not a lot of finishing work right now, but they're getting there. What we are having designed to is, you can see that number 4, that was just a visual placeholder. That is the front identifier wall. This road here that it's facing is Markley, and then what would run along the others would be Crawford. So we have 2 artist teams, this front identifier wall, and then that big green space on the end, that there's a separating wall. It's actually in 2 parts to divide the fire station parking lot and then the parking lot for the sports complex center, so there's no traffic. And artwork has been designed for that wall also. The front identifier wall, Eric Montoy, we went with his design, and you guys have, probably most of you have seen this. So this whole image here to the left, This is a stainless steel, like a perforated metal cutout that will be mounted. And I'll try and zoom in a little bit here. And additionally, part of that design, this red line on that is indicating lighting. So that piece will be backlit, so at night, it's not just lighting from above, you have the backlighting to come through that piece. So that, we have previously reviewed that and made a recommendation for this piece, but I wanted to refresh everybody on both of these. The other design, there are some changes and updates, and the goal today is asking for your guys' recommendation. We did not have our CAD meeting yesterday or our site committee. We did not have quorum. So as I asked for your recommendation today on these designs, it is pending the recommendation and approval from both of those committees, as long as there are no changes. So today, if you guys are okay with this, if there's nothing that changes from those two committees, we'll go ahead and move forward to City Commission and start the contracting process with the artist. Do you guys have any questions about this? What installation? I think this one's pretty straightforward. The length of this, it's a 7.5 foot tall by 20. Can't read that.
It's in front of you too.
They're all
24 feet.
24. So 24. So that's, it's pretty sizable, and that is not something, again, you guys probably don't remember this. People can't really access that. There's no walking space, so that's just a piece, probably why we asked for the lighting. It's not something that you can get really close. There's probably about 60 feet from that to the roadway. The wall in the parking lot, this is what we originally saw. That divider wall is in 2 sections, and if I go back here, you can see those trees. The wall was divided into 2 sections because of the trees that are being left there. Originally, the artwork that we recommended to move forward with spanned both of those walls, and it was 22 smaller little vignettes going to be inset. The wall is completed, so the change of those being inset, they will be mounted on the wall. At this point, we cannot, structurally, we're not gonna cut into it, also incurring higher cost at this point. So, part of the reason we had to go on hold in regards to sign code and what we were actually limited to, the mission statement for the fire station was really focusing on imagery about fire service and what that department offers. So that really fell under sign code. And our limitations on that were 2 wall signs for that part of the building with a total square footage of 64 square feet total. So if we would have went with this original design, that would have technically been 22 separate signs. So Ann and Chip of Prairie Works Studio Design reworked, and so we will only be addressing 1 section of the wall. And you guys see that line that goes down the middle, there's actually like a stress point in that wall. And rather than doing 1 long piece that was 32, we're doing 2 foot by 16 with 2. So we're technically, the artwork is considered 2 separate signs, and that stress point really was part of the reason they split it instead of 1 single thing. And also, rather than splitting those 2 pieces on 2 separate walls, it just made a little bit more sense, and maybe down the road, that other wall, which is the east wall, may be an opportunity down the road. But this kind of kept the work together, but also avoiding that stress point in the center for longevity of the artwork. And this stuff will be mounted on top. So the artist team is really kind of addressing the installation a little bit differently. And they've been really great in the flexibility of that. We will still maintain the goal of the project. These will be clay ceramic tiles. We'll engage youth participation. I had a conversation today about maybe a space or the timing and youth population that we can get involved with this project possibly this summer. Could be through our Arts Infusion program. but the imagery will still maintain that same service, fire service, EMT service that the site committee we had developed that mission statement, and that was what was really important. So we wanted to really stay with that instead of moving to an abstracted design. So ultimately, the change is we've had to reduce the square footage of this and limit to 2 signs essentially on this one wall. So that's kind of where we're at. These are these are just sketches, which you can't really see anyways, but just an idea. That imagery will be developed with the artist team, with the students, or if it's a summer program. And I'm hoping that we can get some fire department staff in there to talk with them and really engage the community through this project. So imagery is not defined at this point, but it's more the layout that you guys are making that recommendation. There's a pretty significant change from the original layout. So I wanted to bring that back to the group, so.
For the newer commissioners, this was approved as a recommended, for the design that Crystal showed you with the multiple images, but in being informed about sign code and compliance, just like any other business in the community that we align, we don't have special exemptions because we're a city department. So this was an effort to keep the content as close to the same as what you have already approved before. And this is out of order, as Crystal said. If time wasn't such an issue, we'd let it go to CAD through a special meeting and then wait for you in March. But because they're gonna have a Zoom meeting prior to when you meet next, we thought it would be handy to have your blessing or support of this proposed solution so that as soon as that Zoom meeting happens, we can move forward with getting before the city commission and contracting with artists, because they've been waiting a year now or more
Yeah.
from the initial design. So anyway, does anybody have questions for Crystal regarding the project or the proposal?
Yeah, just, simple little question. The tiles that are gonna be created, are they gonna be colorful, multicolored, or just like one color kind of?
I think that might shift a little bit. Looking at Ann and Chip's work, a lot of their work are neutral tones, and also considering the tone of the brick, the masonry that's already on the fire station, they're probably gonna choose something that aligns well with that. They did a site visit to actually look at the wall, and that helped determine the direction of this, and noticing that stress point that could have, if they would have tried to do one long piece, to think about shifting and cracking in the middle. But I think neutral tones, something that's gonna really honor that. There was electrical that was run from the building out to this wall, so once things are installed, we still have the option of ground lighting, because this is a relief piece at nighttime, and even I think the shadows are gonna be some of the highlights to really see that work. So we did make sure sort of during the waiting game that the electrical was out there, so we had that lighting element to make sure it's visible. If any of you have been over there when it's not daylight, it's a pretty dark space over there. So the wall was for safety. Initially, it was a very functional piece of the station, and I think the lighting on that is also gonna be a really, really nice piece to add and be able to see that. So I think, and that was something that came both from CAD, the site committee, and you guys asking about lighting on all of those works in that space, so.
They are dark walls. They're very dark.
Yeah, it's a pretty, and if you guys haven't been over there, I really encourage you to drive by. It's pretty fantastic. I mean, ultimately, it would have been really great to be able to get the artwork integrated, with the unveiling of the fire station. But it's nice to know that we are able to continue to move forward, and it's still gonna be an important part of the space, so.
The current iteration has run through staff as far as sign code. What County building, and they said yes to it.
Mhm.
Okay.
That is how we landed
Yeah,
on
yeah, I
this
figured.
layout. And we have, that's where at this point, there's not, we've maxed out our allotment. Like this is what we had to work with, and, so Ann and Chip have been very patient. They've had a lot of experience in public art like this, so it wasn't, I think that maybe some roadblocks were not as surprising to them.
Not their
so,
first rodeo.
Yeah. So.
There may be, when Crystal, she's currently scheduled to present to the city commission on March the 9th. And in that report, or if you either watch or come out to support her request, which is always important, I think, to let the commissioners know that there's community members who support art in public places and good design. You'll hear more about the various definitions of the specific areas. The building identifier that she talked about isn't, there are certain regulations in government speech and identification of public buildings that allows that to be what it is. But when it comes to telling the stories that those clay tiles are gonna do, that's a different definition. That's no longer a government speech or a building identifier. Even though it talks about what's happening inside, it's interpreted as a sign. So that's where the various limits came in. And there's also gonna be an electronic sign out front of the building and another identifier of Station 4 on the Crawford facing above the doors. And so each of those had to be considered as far as the overall options that Crystal and the site committee and the Community Art Design Advisory Committee had to consider.
Yeah, so you guys can, there on that bottom corner, that's that electric sign that, on the corner of Crawford and Markley. So, I'm excited we
And
get to.
that sign can only advertise or market what is happening inside that building. It can't talk about an open house at Metal Art School. You know, it can't do like what the Tony's Pizza sign does with different messaging. That's a different code, different standard, and different role with what that sign does compared to what this does. So the fire department has very specific regulations on what can and can't go on that sign. Like we can't advertise the River Festival or wristbands on sale at that, because those don't have anything to do with what's happening with the fire
Yeah,
department.
and we, there was discussion if we would have chosen to move into just abstract patterning in the tiles, it would have given us a different allotment because it would not have fallen underneath that. But driven by that mission statement that we curated as a site committee, that was very important in the approval process, and it really felt like we would have just kind of been back at square one if we would have considered that sort of move. So, are there any other questions about this?
Did that stainless steel design change from when we had seen it previously? I mean, the overall shape of it. I know the internal design seemed to, I remember it being the same with what mimics downtown, and then also the shape of the wheat, but was there any overall change in that?
Not this one. You
Okay.
may be, I didn't put those first designs, but originally we had, and now I'm thinking, it was a really long piece that I think, because Eric designed to, I think, all 3 spaces. So originally there's a really long piece.
Okay.
And I think we wanted something more organic and we wanted to see, I think there was more of the Art Deco. And so he did shift from that original proposal. We had asked for some variations, and this sort of rounded shape was where we landed. So we had this has not changed from that recommendation. I don't have the
But
date
Megan,
as
I
to
think
when.
you're right. The original that you may have seen was the preliminary proposal that got him approved as the artist.
Yeah.
But then it went into final design.
There was a
And so-
firefighter, like a
Yeah.
silhouette of a firefighter holding a tool in one of the originals. And then sort of our second round, this is what came back, so.
And I think part of the influence or direction that either the site committee or CAD made was referencing less of the downtown look and more of the prairie style of architecture that the building is taking on. So having the more organic forms within it seemed to be a better match for the architecture of the building.
And I think that moved from, the firefighter, that image, and then to the Maltese cross and the number 4. Those are more identifiers, and the Maltese cross itself is, part of that not falling under sign code is a universal image. We all recognize that as something we associate with fire service and EMS. So,
Will a lot of those shapes be, is it going to be an etching, or will it be a cutout?
yeah, this will be perforated, so that, where you see that red line, that'll be back behind.
So those will
yeah,
have
that second
cutouts?
one, you can
Yeah.
see how the brick is actually coming through,
Okay.
so. I think it'll look really good with that backlighting.
Similar to Fieldhouse design look.
Yeah, I would say that same kind of cutout, so.
And I believe his proposal, that'll be locally fabricated, correct? Yeah.
So does the motion have to say anything about CAD's approval, pending CAD's approval, or?
If you make a motion, it would be to support this design as presented, pending an approval by the site committee and the Community Art Design Advisory Committee. So if they approve it, and as Crystal said, if they change anything, we'll be on delay and coming back to you in March. And we'll postpone the city commission presentation. So in a worst case, it will be 2 weeks later than the March 9th now, so.
Okay, would anybody like to make a motion with those amendments to it?
I move to approve the design for the fire station number 4 as presented, pending approval by the site committee and the CAD committee.
Okay.
I second that.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All
Thank you,
opposed?
everyone.
Greg, I don't know about you, but she may have a future on city commission with
Absolutely.
being able to make a motion like that.
No, thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to River Festival Legacy Prospects.
1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure student liaison gets one of these. Yep. Commissioners, those of you who've been here a while have done this before. This is a list of folks that we've recognized since 2013 as being transformational for the success of the Smoky Hill River Festival. These have been businesses and individuals who've contributed their time, their talent, or their treasure, sometimes all three, to the event. It's not always based on the number of years. It might be on a particular service. One of the recipients was honored posthumously after she made a very sizable contribution of her estate to the Legacy Fund, to the endowment fund that's held at the Greater Salina Community Foundation for the festival. And this is a person who never volunteered that we're aware of, or never came into our office to discuss it. I had one phone call with her, but she loved the festival from the time she moved to Salina, and not only when she went, but she also sat on her front porch and had friends over on some of the nights to listen to music from her house that was about 5 blocks from the park. And so anyway, there isn't a particular benchmark or threshold. What I've put before you are 5 recommendations of a variety of both businesses and individuals. We have done as few as 2 and as many as 4. I'd highly recommend, in terms of your nominations, that we try to keep it to 3 because of the amount of space that we can dedicate both to the photos of the recipients and also their narrative of the contributions they've made. If we get too many, it gets harder to give adequate space in the festival program. So we write a paragraph about their contributions to the festival, and it's also meant to serve as a reminder to the 15,000 who pick up a program in the course of the weekend that we have an endowment, that there is a way to give for the long-term health of the festival. So we do a plug for the endowment at the same time. So before you are 5 names. I've asterisked 3 that I think are, from a management standpoint, if you said, what do you think? We'll accept whatever you recommend, but these are 3 that I feel strongly about, and that are obviously very deserving, and there'll be many more to come in the years ahead. So,
any discussion? You may have any questions about who somebody is, or?
If you'd like, just for a point of reference, I have some short descriptions here. Capital Federal Savings makes a sizable contribution from their foundation each year. They also, I think they sell wristbands at their bank also. But they have been a longtime supporter, especially of Artiopolis and Artie Stage. They also dual supported both that area and also when we had the Bravo stage, the local stage, they covered a couple of different areas, but they've stayed firmly involved in the areas of the festival that support families and kids and the arts and crafts area. REPCO, or it was Research Products, from the earliest years of the festival, Research Products has been a supporter. They not only have been a financial supporter, but their staff has donated time. Their current CEO served on our foundation board for the maximum number of years he could, provided excellent leadership. They not only support each year, they not only support the River Festival, but they also make a contribution to Arts Infusion. And as a company, they also have, for its history, supported the Horizons Grant Program. So they are supportive of this organization and the arts in this community in a variety of ways. Ken and Susie had been involved. Their names were before you last year. They have been both financial supporters, but also they donate their time. Ken volunteered in a variety of different ways, and then came to us at about the time that we were starting the Artiopolis, or rebranding Artiopolis into a different kind of a space. And he and his staff built and installed and managed misting garden that Superior is now doing, but in a larger scale. But they were the ones who first conceived of, hey, how about a place to cool kids off over in the park. Rachel and Bob, I put a longer narrative because it's the first time their names have been there, and Rachel is, they both financially contribute. Rachel is, Crystal, I don't know if there's anything you want to say about Rachel in terms of her contributions to the art show and the work she's done on your behalf.
She's carried a lot, and excuse my emotions. I know how deeply important it is, and she puts in a lot of hours just in my last 3 years of festival. In the first year, we had a big loss on the festival team, and Rachel picked up and took over a role that I had no idea what it was, and she has continued to carry that. And I don't know. I'm just impressed by the fire that Rachel's not the only one that carries that for the festival, but she has been there. I see her a lot here just in the museum, as Brad said, other people put into our organization. She's been incredibly supportive and unwavering, and somehow also finds the time to balance all that work and sweat and the laboring that goes into the setup and throughout the weekend and filling those spaces, and then can kind of switch gears and is an art patron also in supporting that program. She is one of the very first faces all of our artists see as they come into the gate for the weekend. That's a huge role, and on my behalf, she has done incredible work, and that's just me speaking on the last 3 years that I have seen her in that park.
Well,
So-
I don't know why I didn't put it on here, but looking at the two of you down there, you may not be aware that prior to her work in the art show, she was the stage manager at Stage 2. She did the announcements work from open to close all weekend long at that stage, introducing every band and acknowledging sponsors and managing the operation at that venue until she just said, I'd like to do some other things, and boy, did we put her to work.
Yeah, I definitely feeling that's somebody for me that has been with this event for a really long time, and coming in as a new staff person, she was very supportive, and I don't think she had to trust me as as much as she did coming in, but yeah, very
She's
impactful.
also a big part of the office work that goes on before the festival, and comes in as a volunteer to do the boring stuffing envelopes work as well. So.
Lastly, the Salina Art Center was founded on Kansas Wesleyan's campus in 1978. They moved downtown in 1988. But shortly, I was a, let's see, I can't even remember what art role I had back in the early 80s, but from the time they were on Wesleyan's campus, they would be the host site for pre-festival visual arts activities. They'd bring artists in who were printmakers, or clay artists who did clay tablets as a printmaking. And TJ, in the early days, he did cars there, or we had a pre-festival workshop of cardboard cars that folded up, and people got to paint and decorate, and then kids did a car parade with their cardboard cars they were carrying. The Art Center has been an active part of the Art Center in challenging our ways of thinking. Probably one of the most impactful in all the years I can remember was what just got torn out not too long ago, but Molly Dilworth's painting on the floor of the skating rink that was there. That was supposed to be a 2 to 3 year project, but they spent, back then, it was in the early teens, about $85 a gallon on masonry paint that lasted a really long time and became iconic. It's on our, some of our satellite photos of Salina still. And so they've made sizable investments. They regularly share the warehouse as as an artist headquarters for special projects. You had somebody stay in there last year, Crystal?
Margaret Craig, who did our scavenger hunt last year and the Twisted Tornado costume, she did residency for about a month to build her festival costume and work on the scavenger hunt items. And we'll have another festival artist staying there for the week. So it's been a really fabulous collaboration with that space.
Yeah, they make financial contributions towards the success of some of the artists. I think they help underwrite or make the first connections with Mike Miller, who's doing the wavy bridge on the Tony's Pizza Event Center. They helped make that initial connection with Mike years ago. And
Their staff helps them set up.
Yeah.
That and tear down every year too.
yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit about the folks that are here. I guess what I'd say is, at this point, if we knew in March, that would be helpful, but if the commissioners felt like they could make a decision today, that would be fine too, and we could check that off our list and start our work in communicating with these folks and getting the bios, photos, and other information so it's ready for the program. So I'll leave that to you of whether you want more time or recommendations, or if you're ready to make a decision today.
So, in sake of discussion, I think that all contributions are important, but the personal contributions are a little more, as a person volunteering or doing things, that recognition might mean a little more than a business where that business is used to doing it, they're gonna keep doing it. I would definitely wanna see the two, they're not individuals, but the two non-businesses definitely should be honored sooner. I knowingly that Capital Fed's gonna keep probably doing that. Repco would wait 4 or 5 years to be awarded such an award, and I think that the individual should be prioritized if that, not that we don't value everything, but those people should be a little higher than a business, in my opinion of things.
I felt when you went through the list, I felt that you had, Capital Federal and Repco are both businesses. You had the 2 individual, 3 and 4. And when you mentioned Salina Art Center, while they do give financially, they're also putting in their time outside of that. So you kind of had 3 different categories: business, personal, and then a business in the Salina Art Center, but they're donating a lot of their personal time. So
We have tried to balance each year in the recommendations to you, those that give either time, technical expertise, or money, that all of those are important to the success of the festival. And one isn't any more important than another. And it's sacrificial for all of them. Every business gets, I heard 2 CEOs talking last week that said, well, I don't know about you, but this was the 4th call I got on Monday morning for somebody asking for money. Whether it's a school carnival or a local nonprofit or someone else, the needs of the community, the requests far exceed the capacity of these organizations. So I'm an advocate for both. I think the individuals are incredibly important. The individual giving for the River Festival with gifts from $10 to $10,000 that we've had in the past generate about $65,000 a year. It's a huge amount, of almost 10% of the overall financial operation, or just over 10%, just comes from individuals. So certainly every gift is important there, but so are the other contributions.
and there's many
Balancing,
others that aren't on this list that could be on this list.
Yes, absolutely.
balancing the numbers, if I were to make a motion, I would vote Repco, Ken and Susie Guest, and Rachel and Bob would be my thought. If anybody feels similar, or if we need more time.
You could either ask if that's a motion, you can ask
All
for a
right,
second.
I will make the motion that for the 2026 recommendations, we could go with Repco, Ken and Susie Guest, Rachel and Bob Warsh.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, sorry, discussion? Do we have any discussion on that? Everybody feels pretty confident, you know what they've contributed? Okay, no second?
There will,
Yep, we had a second, but
Yep.
we need to, yep.
Yep.
Okay, so, motion, second, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, passes.
Okay. Thank you.
Move on to cultural planning update.
Got a few things for you, but nothing in print. Keen has sent us a tremendous amount of information, 3 pages of bulleted requests for data. That includes everything from the city's current, although it's 16 years old, comprehensive plan, the master plan for Parks and Rec, our reports that we've made to the City Commission on state of the arts. The museum's got a strategic plan process that's going, that anything that goes along with helping identify the momentum of the community in data, reports of attendance and sales and profit and loss from the festival. That's just giving you an idea of a few things. We're compiling that now, and there may be, there's visitor data from the Chamber of Commerce that I just got. All of that is due to them by March 4th. Then they're going to begin kind of crunching some numbers and assimilating that data. They are coming to Salina for 3 days by the calendar, but really a full 1-day intensive with 2 partial days around that. We'll be doing a community tour and an art tour and a preliminary meeting with some kind of key staff and stakeholders on Monday, April 6th. On Tuesday, April 7th, that's the day I'd like for you to please keep in mind and check your availability. On Tuesday, April 7th, and more will be coming out over the next month about this, but they will be touring all of the major arts facilities and then meeting this staff here, but they'll be going to each of the cultural venues in downtown and Kansas Westland and the Rolling Hills Zoo throughout the early part of the day. At 5:30 to 7 p.m. on Tuesday, April 7th, at the temple, the lower level of the temple is where we're currently going to be. There's an hour-and-a-half come-and-go SWAT exercise with them that is not a slideshow, not a lecture, but an interactive for the public to be able to provide feedback to them, what they like, what they don't, what their aspirations are, what might make Salina better, what do you value, you know, and again, more of details about that interactive, but that'll be a come and go on Tuesday, April 7th. And you can come early and then go directly to Redfern Booksellers because it's also our opening night of the poetry series. So we weren't in control of their availability and are trying to adapt the best we can, but it will be a busy day for us. And then before they leave town on Wednesday, they'll be meeting with our executive staff, with each of the department heads at our weekly executive staff meeting to be able to hear from them about how they engage with the arts through their practices and their work. And our office has had direct interaction with every one of those city departments and the services they provide, so they'll be quizzing them and asking some questions. At the same time, there will be about the same time, the exact date hasn't been announced yet, but from the data that they gather from us and in preparation of this site visit, they'll be launching a community survey. It will be based through their website. We'll have links from ours to that, but I've asked them to keep, there will be a website up and dedicated to the cultural plan that they will manage. I didn't want it to be managed by us so that if the public thought that we were limiting voice or access, it would be better to have them as part of their contract to provide that service, so they will be. And so as that gets populated, there will be updates, there'll be feedback, there'll be prompts. We'll include those on our website as well, directing people or our calendars, but the survey will be out, and they originally were going to close it the 3rd week of May. I asked them to keep it up until Monday, June 15th, so that we can print the QR code and link to that survey and advertise it on our festival program for what is our largest cultural event of the year. We'd like to be able to have that opportunity to have both residents and guests be able to weigh in on how to improve Salina and what to hold on to and preserve that we're doing well. So it's a long time for that survey to be up, and people may get sick of hearing about it, but I'd rather err on the side of having it accessible to as many people as we can. And then additionally, they've provided another draft calendar of the year. I think we kind of went over some of that last month, so I won't repeat that. Most of the things they've sent us to this point are saying not for public release because it's still a working document. So I've shared with you what I'm comfortable with, and I think that they would want to have publicly shared. But when formal details about specific things or questions and times and so on are done, those will be released to everybody at the same time. So we'll keep you informed each month. I have another Zoom meeting with them. We meet, I think, on the 2nd Thursday or something of each month, and so I think I'll be meeting with them prior to your next meeting and be able to provide additional updates then. But in the meantime, we're just kind of scurrying behind the scenes. So anybody have questions about the cultural plan? Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to old business. Commission goals for 2026 and 2025 annual report approval.
You have those in front of you. Maybe take a second to read through that and review it. This is your kind of last chance to make any final edits before these are compiled and presented to the city manager's assistant to go to the city commission. Katie, I'd like to call your specific attention to the suggestion you had either last month or whenever it was made when we started this. The last bullet on the 2nd page, or that we tried, is that satisfactory for at least a first year step in having as a goal?
Yes.
Okay. I want to thank you for participating and making that suggestion. So.
Any discussion or questions?
This is not a talkative group
No.
today.
I make a motion, we approve the commission goals and annual report.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
Since we're 5 till 5, I might ask if it's okay with you. Normally, when we have a new commissioner join us, we do a quick once
Yep.
around on the table so that Greg has an idea of who we are and where we come from. So if that's all right,
Yep.
maybe say what your role is on the commission, where you work, and how long you've been on the Arts Commission. So,
Start down there and work this way.
yeah.
Hey, my name is Elijah Castro. I'm currently a senior at Salina South High School. Right now I have 2 jobs, one at Jimmy John's and then the other at Workman Chiropractic. I've been on the commission for about, well, just a few months now. And I think that's everything.
I'm Pat Altool. I'm a retired clergy. Been living in Salina about a decade now. And been on the commission, I think, 3 years. I think, is that about when you came on,
Yeah.
Calvin? Yeah.
Dean Conda, we ran together, but I work day job at a security company, and then I own an events production company, and I've been maybe a year and a half now on the
Good to see you
commission.
again.
Yep.
Megan Ayers with Superior Contracting and Manufacturing Services. Good to see you again as well. Thank you. I've been also about a year and a half on the commission.
Thank you. Tanner Colvin, work at Feely Creative, a photographer here in town. I've been on for 2.5 years. I think I was just after Pat, so.
Thank you.
Amy Adams, as you know, I work at Salina Public Library, and I've been on as long as Dean and Megan.
Katie Bowler, I'm a junior at Salina Central. I also work at the Rolling Hills Zoo, and I've been on the commission for about 3 months.
Thank you.
Andrew Baker, Assistant Professor of Art and Design at Kansas Wesleyan University. I've been on the commission now for 3 months.
And then for Greg's benefit, our staff, the staff that's here, I know a couple of you were introduced, but if you wanted to tell a story or something, you could. But Allie, do you want to?
I'm Allie Fisher. I am the program assistant here at Salina Arts and Humanities, and then I'm the Children's Services Coordinator for the Smoky Hill River Festival, so I oversee Artiopolis and face paint, all the little children's areas. I'm originally from Lawrence. I moved here about a year ago. I think I'm 8 days past my 1-year anniversary. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was an artist before, and then museum studies, and now just arts administration. Very fun.
Museum, Susan Hawksworth, Museum Director. I just passed my 25th anniversary being here, and
You started,
I
how long have you
started-
been director, and then you were the?
I started I think 2006 when I became director. I actually started as a museum assistant. Was only at that shortly till I became curator of exhibits, and then became museum director.
You're the longest employee?
Yes.
Yeah.
Longest was the correct word.
Yeah. I'm old too.
I'm Crystal Hammerschmidt, Visual Arts Coordinator, and I think you know what I'm up to most of the time, so you're not gonna see, not the last of me today, so.
Can you slide the mic down a little bit?
Yeah, that's about it.
Speech this way. I'm Sarah, and this is 3.5 years in, I think, and I coordinate the Arts Infusion Education program and also entertainment at the festival. So.
And I've been here since 2011 and involved in the arts here, one capacity or another, since the roads were all dirt. So.
Thank you for taking the time to do that, and
Yeah.
personally, I appreciate everything you guys do here, so.
Well,
Thank you.
we thank you for the support that you provided and the voice of reason that you've brought to the commission table, and the kind words and support that you've shown during your service on the commission. And so we're glad to see you back and to have you here with us.
Thank you, sincerely.
Yeah.
Annual report approval? We do that,
We
we
did
did
that.
that all in one. Yep.
You,
All right.
yeah.
Yep, we're good.
Yep.
Other business, any questions for clarification or other items somebody wants to bring up? Crystal's smiling.
Oh, you know, gotta talk a little bit more. I feel like things are moving really fast, so I did want to mention in March it's Friday the 13th, talking about those collaborations with the Art Center. Our artist team, Ann Zerger, Chip Parker, and Timothy Parker will be doing an artist talk presentation that night from 6 to 8 at the warehouse. They are the folks that will be doing a community build. It will be on the riverbank by the Kenwood Bridge. So we've seen things like this in the past using natural materials. So through the spring, they're going to be collecting limbs and trees. We're working with Parks and Rec to collect that stuff. So we're trying to hype up this project. So that activity on Friday the 13th, because that will be before our next meeting, it's free to the public. So they'll do a talk to get people to understand ethereal art. It's really about working together, building something together without a very specific expectation, and also without holding on to the idea that something has to last forever. So really talking about ethereal art, getting people excited about the project, and really focusing on a hands-on activity. So you don't have to have skills, but this is a little kind of introduction to what the bigger scale thing will be during the festival. So we want to invite people. That might get some people interested. I know we'll look for some volunteers to maybe commit to some of that time at festival. But I think it's going to be a really interesting collaboration. We have some ideas of how it will go, but the community is going to drive that. So we do have the Art Center's got that posted on their website. We'll be sharing more of that. So maybe mark your calendars. We've also got an activity. The Art Center's doing a spring break camp with the kids. So they will also do an activity during that spring break camp to introduce that to a younger group about that community build. So, and as you guys see that, as you know, we start releasing festival activities, I think we've got some things up our sleeves for pre-festival. So keep your eyes out. Those things are really starting to cook, and just kind of getting people hyped for 50th activities. So that's
Also,
it. Okay.
I'd also like to add, I think we meet before Match Madness in March, but that's coming up, and 3 legacy funds are
Well,
involved
that's
in
the
that.
12th. I think that's the date.
Actually,
It's
yep, you meet
We meet
week
after.
after.
Okay, so definitely want to talk about that this time, Match Madness with
March 12th,
Yep.
from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Field House.
I think it's 6 p.m.
Or 6 p.m., yeah.
But you can donate online. the
Online,
entire-
24 hours, from 12:01 on the 12th until the other. No matter any amount, if you can encourage others, any amount is wonderful, and it is basically tripled. Because the Greater Salina Community Foundation is going to match that, and then the Arts and Humanities Foundation matches your gift and the match. And so there's up to a 50% match, so a $10 gift is $30 in the endowment for the festival. And that money always stays there, and the interest that's earned off of that is used to help support and sustain programs. So we're nearing about a halfway point in that endowment where half of the cash operation of the festival could be generated by the current endowment each year. We're hoping to let that get to be able to do the full amount, and then make a decision from the foundation of how much to underwrite or contribute each year. But for the long-term health and sustainability of the event, it's really important. So encourage folks to give or to come out and say hi. You are welcome to sit at a table with me. Anna's still out till the end of the month, so I'd be happy to have a bathroom break every once in a while if you show up. So
I pulled it up here, and if you can't make it physically and you want to wake up at 12 a.m., you can donate from 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. So
There we
if you're
go.
not physically there, you've got all day. So.
you can also write a check to the Greater Salina Community Foundation and leave it here, and we can turn it in on your behalf if you're an analog giver. So we have done that before. So.
And then, of course, there's also the Smoky Hill Museum Friends Fund is going to be there as well, albeit in a different booth. You're welcome to stop by and chat.
I'll bring straws and we can have a spitball fight between the two tables, and a food fight or something.
Yeah.
There's usually some food trucks out front. If you come between 8:30 a.m. and 2:30 p.m., the decibel level will be higher with every 5th grade class in about a 20-mile radius coming in to give money that day. There are donors who've underwritten $10 for each 5th grader in Salina to make a donation to the charity of their choice. So there's no doubt when they arrive and when they leave.
Anybody else have anything? If not, so I'll take a motion. Oh, hang on, next meeting, March 18th, 4 p.m., and then the rest of the 2026 is on there as well. So, motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
All right, second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Thanks, everybody.